For this project, you'll need medium weight yarn, a hook, tape measure, scissors, and a stitch marker. Start by chaining either 15, 18, 22, or 25, depending on the size you want to make. Now these are just estimates, and I recommend, of course, that you put this against your body to make sure you're getting the coverage you need, but I'm looking for something a little bit more on the lower coverage side, so these are the estimates that I'm giving. After making your foundation chain, you'll turn your work and single crochet the entire next row. Once you get to the end, you'll chain 3 and turn your work. You'll notice here that I'm working my tail into my chain 3 for this row 2, and this is just a way that I make sure that it's easy to clean up everything at the end. You don't have to do this, but as you can see, I'm going to wrap my yarn around the hook, insert into that first stitch, and I'm just going to double crochet on top of the tail. Now we're going into a decrease row, so after you chain 3, you're going to turn your work, make 1 double crochet in that first stitch of the row, and then in the next stitch, actually the next 2 stitches, you're going to make a double crochet but not complete them. So you should have 3 loops left on your hook after making 3 different double crochets, and then at the end of that you'll pull through all of the loops. Continue to double crochet until you get to the last 3 stitches of the row. At that point, you'll again double crochet 2 together and then double crochet in the last stitch of the row to finish row 3. Okay, so now we're on row 4, you've chained 3 stitches, you've turned, and now you're just going to double crochet this entire row similar to row 2. At this point, you should be seeing that there's a slight taper on each side, and that's exactly what we want. Row 5 is another decrease row. You're going to do the same exact thing you did on row 3, which is you're going to chain 3, turn your work, make a double crochet in that first stitch, and then in the next 2 stitches, you're going to double crochet those 2 together. And you'll continue to alternate between this decrease row and the regular row until you only have 5 stitches left in the row. So for you, that might be different depending on how many stitches you started with, so you'll have to pay attention to when you're decreasing and when you're not. And also keep in mind that you want an even taper on both sides, so that might be an indicator if you've switched a row or not. So just keep an eye out for that and just continue to alternate those 2 types of rows again until you get to that 5 stitch mark. Turn your piece to be horizontal and then chain 3. You're going to alternate making a double crochet and then chain 1 until you get to the end of this edge. So all along the edge, you'll be inserting your hook either at the top of a chain 3 or a top of a double crochet stitch. You should finish with a double crochet at the base of your piece. Chain 1 and then make single crochets along the bottom of your piece. I'm going to make 2 single crochets into the double crochet first and then continuing on making them at like the base of this triangle, but you can play with it and see what works for you. Once I get all the way to the end, I'm going to chain another 3 and then do what I did on that first side of the row 1, which is just alternating between double crochets and a chain 1 until I get to the top of my triangle or my piece. Once you complete the other side, you'll just chain 3 again and then make double crochets along the top to finish. At this point, I like to take measurements just to make sure, number 1, that I'm making both bra cups or pieces the same exact size, and then 2, just to make sure that it matches with my body if I don't want to keep trying it on. You want to make another piece the same exact way, and then after that, we're going to start on the next strap. So the next strap is going to be pretty taut. It's not going to be too loose because it's not adjustable. So you want to make sure once you're coming up with the amount of rows that you feel comfortable with, mine was 12, that you put it over around your body and just make sure that, like, if you pull the bottoms with your fingers, that it can reach all the way without hurting your neck, and that the cups also have a good amount of stretch to them, and that will make sure you're getting the tautness that you're looking for with this. But you don't want to do it too short, and you also don't want to do it too long. Once you've completed that next strap, you're going to slip stitch it to the other triangle to finish. Now to make the body strap, you're going to chain 8 and then turn your work. You'll single crochet into that second chain from the hook and make single crochets all the way until you get to the end of this row. Then you'll chain 3 and make double crochets until you get to the end of the row, and continue doing that until you get the desired length for your strap. For me, it measured about 60 inches, I believe. No, 40 inches. and that was a perfect amount for me. But again, make sure that you measure it and that you try it on and make sure that it works for you. So I like to just like wrap it around my body to make sure it looks good. You should do that too. So what you'll do is fold the strap in half, and then you'll slip stitch cup A to one side and then essentially slip stitch cup B to the other side. I think it's best to keep just the smallest gap before the edge of the fold in order to make sure that you have just the smallest space in between each cup in the front. It ensures good coverage. You can even widen that space depending on how much cleavage you have and how much coverage you want on the outer sides of your chest. I like it to be a little closer together, but using the slip stitch also ensures that it's easy for you to pull it out and start again depending on what your needs are. Lastly, when you're doing this, make sure not to twist your strap, and also make sure that the sides that you're slip stitching is also going to be the wrong side, so that once you turn it inside out, it looks really seamless.